Welcome to my tutorial on the Eaton Fuller 10-speed transmission in American Truck Simulator. I wanted to start by quickly going over the control settings with you. As you can see, I have shifter layout, of course, set to Eaton Fuller 10 speeds. Shifter layout behavior is set to advanced. That allows me to set the next option, which there are a few different choices, but US trucks do use clutch and throttle, so that's what we're going to use. Now if we go down here to the shifter positions in reverse, you'll notice I have absolutely nothing there. If you have something there, it's fine as long as it's not one of these other shifter positions. If it's one of the other shifter positions, just hit unassign and unassign that. So the shifter positions 1 through 6 go as this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now shifter toggle 1 and shifter toggle 2, by default there will be nothing in these slots, so you are going to have to set these up. Now I will say that you're going to want these somewhere that you can access easily with one hand on the wheel and one hand on the shifter. That's just going to make your shifting a heck of a lot easier. Now shifter toggle 1, you'll hear me refer to it as the range from here on out. Mine is actually mapped to the front of my shifter knob, and shifter toggle 2, you'll hear me refer to it as the splitter from here on out. So, and that's mapped on mine, is mapped to the side toggle switch here. Now you'll see right below that it says shifter toggles use switch mode. You'll see that I have that box checked. That's letting the system know that I'm actually using toggle switches. Now if you are just using a simple key press for these, then you're not going to want to check this box. And if you are just using simple key presses, it's going to work pretty much exactly the same way my toggle switches are, with one exception, that when you press your button once, it's going to be like me putting my toggle switch in one position, and then when you hit your button again, it's going to be like me putting my toggle switch in the other position. So that's pretty much it for the control settings. Now I'll go ahead and show you the shift pattern on the Eaton Fuller 10 speed. Now if you've driven some of the bigger transmissions like the 18 speeds or even the 12 speeds or 13 speeds, this is quite a bit easier of a pattern to get down. So I've zoomed in as close as I can to the dash. If you'll notice that little gear looking thing with an N in it, that's actually showing the gear. So as you can see, it'll show when the gear changed, because I wanted you to be able to see what gear I was actually switching to. So we're going to start out with our range in low and our splitter in low. We're going to come all the way over to the right and up. You'll see it puts me in reverse low. If I then come back out of the neutral and I hit my range into high, go back into that same slot, it's going to put me in reverse high. So that is the two gear reverse gears that the Eaton Fuller 18 speed has. And instead of being split, those are high and low range. So then if I put my splitter back in low and my range back in low, come over to the right again and pull back, you'll see it puts me in gear 1. Now again, what differentiates this from a lot of other transmissions is that would be actually 1 low. You're actually not going to split any gear on the Eaton Fuller 10 speed. It's all just high and low range. There's 5 low range and then there's 5 high range gears, equaling your 10. So that's gear 1. If we then come back out on the neutral, go straight up into the middle, it'll put us in gear 2. Pull straight back down into the middle, it'll put us into gear 3. Back out on the neutral, over to the right and up, you'll see it puts us in gear 4. And then if we just pull straight back into the right, it's going to put us in gear 5. If we then come back out of the neutral and then put our range into high and go over to the left and down, you'll see it puts us in gear 6. Back out of the neutral, up into the middle, gear 7. Straight back from that, gear 8. Up, over to the right and up, gear 9. Pull straight back from there and gear 10. That is our 10 gears. So basically you're just running through the gear pattern twice. You go through the gear pattern once, then you flip your range into high, and then you go through your gears again. So that's the gear pattern. Now I'll show you actually hauling a load on this. Now this will probably be one of the only times you'll see me actually not haul real heavy, because the Eaton Fuller 10-speed isn't really made for real heavy loads. It can do them. I have done them, but there are some hills that are a little sketchy when you're trying to get up them with Eaton Fuller 10-speed. So it's more of a medium-high to, your lower tonnage trailers. So let's get to the driving. So I've driven out onto the highway so I could just show you the gear pattern running down the road. Now the first time that I go through this gear pattern, I'll show you from lowest to highest, and then once I show you that, I'll show you how I would actually kind of run this. I'm hauling about a 20-ton trailer, and it's not real heavy, but it's a decent size load for this transmission. So it's still going to use a good little bit of the gear range. But we're going to start out in 1. We're going to go ahead and clutch out and get going here. Clutch in, up into the middle into 2. Clutch in, straight back into 3. Clutch in, over to the right and up into 4. Clutch in, straight back into the right into 5. Now I'm going to hit my range up, clutch in, go all the way over to the left and down, putting me in 6. Clutch in, up into the middle into 7. Clutch in, straight back into the middle into 8. Clutch in, over to the right and up into 9. Clutch in, back over to the right into 10, our final gear. So as you can see, it's a pretty easy gear pattern to get down. So now what I'll do is I'll show you how I would actually run that, because even though it's a pretty simple gear pattern, I'm still going to skip gears on it. And so since I'm not hauling a lot of weight, I'm going to go ahead and start out in 3. And how I figure out what weights or what starting gears that I'm going to start out in is I'll put it in, say, like 4. I got people honking at me. I'll put it in, like, say 4, and then I'll try to see how she does. And you can see she kind of wants to go, but then she's kind of not really pulling too real good. So I'm going to go ahead and back it down a gear. And, I just kind of keep doing that to kind of figure out what gear I need. So I'm going to start out in 3 here. Clutch in, I'm going to go all the way over to the right and back into 5. Clutch in, range up, I'm just going to go straight up into the middle into 7. Clutch in, pull straight back into 8. Clutch in, over and up into the right into 9. Clutch in, pull back to the right into 10, our final gear. So there you have it, the Eaton Fuller 10-speed. It's a very simple transmission to use. It's nice if you don't plan on hauling heavy because you don't have to mess with a lot of gears. And if you're not hauling real heavy, you don't need all the gears of an 18-speed or a 12-speed or even a 13-speed. So it's very nice when you plan on doing like light duty hauling and such. So I hope it helped you out, and happy trucking.